As we continue to evaluate and evolve our priorities for the studio and Dreams, we've made the difficult decision to discontinue live support for Dreams after September 1st, 2023. You'll continue to be able to play, create, and share Dreams with others after September, but we won't be releasing any more updates to the game or events such as Dreamscom, All Hallows Dreams, or the Impy Awards. We are endlessly grateful to the community for their belief and continuous contributions since launch. All right. Thanks for believing this wasn't going to happen. Although this is challenging news, we do have a few more updates on the way and a significant improvement to animation and our last create mode update. Honestly, these will probably be cool updates. They're just gonna dump everything that we probably always wanted, except for multiplayer. We will continue to share and celebrate creations in Dreams with the wider world on our social channels, our streams, Impsider roundups, and more. We will be continuing our in-game curation work to make sure the Dreamiverse feels as alive as it always has been. That's quite a promise. And to surface amazing creations from you, our community, for everyone to enjoy. Thanks. Look, this is a hard thing to write. This is hard to write. So like, I don't want to throw too much shade. Server migration. At Dreamscom last year, we mentioned a big upcoming change to the Dreams server. So they knew about this. They knew about this for a year. A necessary update to preserve the security and stability of Dreams. Preserve the security and stability from what? From what? From its inevitable demise.
But it is a big piece of work that a lot of people at the studio have working on, and the goal of it, I think everybody in this chat probably knows what a complex game Dreams is, and so we're in the process of building a much more efficient server. Hopefully it will allow us to bring more people onto the platform, because everything that we do in the game right now, a lot of calls to our server, it's incredibly complex, and it's not as scalable as we would like it to be. We're working on this big project to rebuild that, because there's a lot of things that we want to do with Dreams, and so, you know, we're hopefully going to be making that sort of change, that move over to the new server early next year. There will be some changes around that. Not bad things. Some of it actually allows us to go back in and make things more efficient, make some of the systems in the Dreamiverse better. It's something that we want to be really transparent with everybody in the community about. Everything will be as close to actually the Dreams that you're playing today as possible.
And, you know, this makes me think, at least the way they're making it seem, it's not necessarily their decision or their intention or their fault. You know, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes with Sony. It's interesting that they word it that way. Our team has been hard at work on this update, and we're preparing to migrate to our new server in late May. The complexity of this work has meant we've had to make changes, as not every feature in Dreams has been compatible with the needed modifications to the server. It's so weird that they're just talking about, this has to happen because of the server migration. It's because of the server migration. Right, but why are you migrating servers? Like, what about that part? Below, you'll find all the major changes that will be coming with Dream's new server. We're providing all our users time before the launch to learn more. The launch? We're launching limitations that make it so you can't do as much. Wow, you know? Perhaps the complexity is, how do we ensure Dreams doesn't fully die like our predecessor, Project Spark, did? That is a nice, honest way of putting it. A generous reading that I'm willing to give to it, that they do want to preserve it. But it's also a little concerning, like, wait, you can't guarantee it? We will also have help and how-to documentation, our detailed patch notes for the new server, and community support available at launch to help everyone. Fair enough. We want to be as transparent as possible to ensure a smooth transition and server migration. In that spirit, these changes are limits. Oh God. Oh, it's so daunting. There will be a storage limit of up to 5 gigabytes from the date of the Dreams server migration. This 5 gigabyte limit will be added for players on the date of server migration. Your existing creations will not count towards the limits. It'll be interesting to see how they try to implement this. I'm guessing it'll be very similar to the local data management, where you can come into your creations. If you come to delete, it'll show you how much you have left, how much space you have. So I feel like it's gonna be like this, except it'll be like 5 gigabytes for online saves and stuff. You'll just have to like keep it clean. Just clean up your creation. And so the local limits, this is what we already have. 1 gigabyte is already what the local limits are. And I don't think any PlayStation game can have more than 1 gigabyte. So I think that this is a Sony PlayStation thing and not a Dreams Media Molecule thing. I think that they can't do more than 1 gigabyte, even if they want to. Photos, 256 online. So that's the number of photos you can have online, and 120 local. For online creations, 256. And for local creations, 256 as well. That's already been true. It's already been 256. You actually haven't been able to make more locally. You know, when you're on Dreams and it says your local save data is almost full, they'll basically be using that system. And now that's going to be applied online as well. You'll have more gigabytes to work with, but not more number of creations. Yeah, I have heard the multiple accounts thing. That might work. It'll be interesting to try it. I think that just the amount of effort that making the accounts will take up is enough to dissuade most people. I don't know. That's a good question. Because it's different with like photos and stuff, my guess would be that it is going to be separate. My guess is that that would be separate. That's a really good point, because then that means you get 512. That's a little better. That sounds a little better. Versions, 512 per creation. And across all creations, 1,024. Which makes sense, because that's basically like a whole new creation. Deletion and archiving. To help you manage your content, thank you. You'll now be able to delete rather than archive creation. So right now, if you want something to go away and it's released publicly, you can't delete it. This is actually a feature people have been wanting for a long time. The only thing you've been able to do is archive it, which will hide it from my creations, and it won't be listed. And that's been the only thing that you can do. But now you can actually delete it, which will be nice. That makes sense if they're trying to reduce the amount of space. What's weird is why they never let us do that sooner. I always assumed it was some legal thing, but maybe they figured out how to legally get around that somehow. Creations that were archived prior to the date of the server migration will be unarchived and available in your saved creations, where you can choose to delete them. So that doesn't mean they're going to be public or listed. It already will be unlisted. So the archiving really is just for your own cleaning up your feed and your creations list. So now, instead of just cleaning it up, you have to actually completely remove it if you want it to be gone. You hate that? Yeah, because that means it sucks. Like, why not just let us hide stuff? You have to make a decision. You must. Keep or destroy. Releasing content. We have simplified release screens, making it easier for you to publish your Dreams creations. Thank you. You can now release Dreams creations as public that contain private content. That's like a huge thing, right? And like literally just yesterday, Pierogi and I were having grief about this, and we couldn't release something. I don't even know.
So this is the screen that is hurting my feelings.
Whoa, can't release as public, contains private creations. Okay, but so it's already public, so you did get it playable. That's good.
No, can't release as playable. This creation is already public.
So it's updated. So that means it's up to date.
Private.
Oh, so like the
This one's public.
Oh.
And then if I go to the dream,
Whoa.
and I try to release the dream.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What?
Because it's quote unquote public. I've never seen this.
So this has been a problem, and people have been complaining about it. I think that the general like consensus was we couldn't do this because of like some legal restriction. If something is private, then having it released as public could cause some kind of legal issue, because releasing it publicly means that it is like a legal thing. They don't want to get sued or something. It never really was a very good argument. And now that's not going to be a problem. So that's like kind of good news. It's kind of good news. Why didn't they do this sooner? Versions. We've improved clarity for versions. Global local version limit is called out where it wasn't previously, and we've named the 2 key versions, latest online and lead. I think this is only here because of the limitations that they're putting on it. Prize bubbles. Oh no, not prize bubbles! Prize bubbles are this thing where people could put their own creations in a game, and then a player could come through and collect those creations and then have it to use in their own project. Kind of like drops or something, like collecting drops from somebody's level. So here I can click on this and see it kind of has my creation on here. And then in theory, someone can come into this level, collect it, blam. And so then what happens if somebody does that? If you are stamping something, I can scroll all the way to the bottom of this page and find my prizes. I think this is the only place you can get it. And here are things that I collected in people's games, and I can grab it, and now I can stamp it in my own creation. Thank goodness I collected that item. It never really worked out because people just release things and stamp them. Nobody really plays games to get items. So we're removing them from Dreams. Please make private prizes public if you'd like fellow players to use them. Creations that included prize bubbles will now display empty bubbles. So you can still collect the bubble itself, but it's not going to give you an item or even look like there's an item on it. You'll no longer have access to the feature from the gadgets menu. Community jams. Unfortunately, from April 2023 and after the last community jam, I like how it's worded like, oh geez, after the last one, we gotta get the hell out of here. That's not what they mean though. We will no longer be holding additional community jams. The Hall of Fame will still feature previous jam content. We have loved seeing all your brilliantly creative entries to these. Of course, the community jams stuff right up here on the homepage. Feel Good was the last one. Send us all the feel good vibes. Is this a cry for help? Please make us feel good. We're suffering over here. You'll still be able to access all of the past ones in the Hall of Fame. It's gonna feel so empty when that community jams menu option is gone. Yeah, because that's a very alive part of the main menu. It's always updating. It's got literally a clock on it. Quest and trophies. Ultimately, if you have your platinum, that's fine, don't worry. If you still want the platinum, you'll still be able to get it. Audio importer. We are temporarily removing the audio importer. We expect to be restoring it before October 23. All right. They need to make some changes here and there with the server. When restored, you will no longer need to be online for microphone recordings, and the number of uploads per day will be removed. That's nice. It's interesting thinking about like private and public and deleting. A lot of the limitations that we had are now gone. I don't really understand, but I guess this is a good thing. Twitch integration. We are removing TwitchBuddy. TwitchBuddy was basically a way that you could keep track of the things that you were looking at in Dreams. So if you're a streamer, it would pop up in the chat like, here's the link to go check out this creation. Honestly, it broke a long time ago. They stopped updating it. I would never have found live streaming if it wasn't for TwitchBuddy. Again, just sort of like putting a cap on Dreams' growth. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like they're just like saying, okay, stop. Let's stop growing. Let's stop spreading the good news about Dreams. All right? Let's just keep it quiet. All right. Social. We are removing the message of the day feature, which makes sense if they're not going to be doing updates anymore. Here, right here, this today's message, the last one ever. They'll probably put another one up here, but that's what this is. So no more alerts. Again, going to the emptiness of the homepage. It's really going to be a lot more empty for sure. They'll probably keep the highlights where they put information about their articles, but the actual message of the day will go away. Players won't receive a notification when they are @mentioned in creation titles or version notes. You could actually tag people and shout them out. Now it just says in creation titles or version notes. I don't know why it just has to be those specific places, but for example, you can come in this title and I could say @Pierogigon, and this will provide a link and it'll actually notify you of that shout out. You could also do this in version notes. And so there you can see there's a link. You can click on it and it takes you to the profile. It looks like you'll still be able to do it in descriptions. My thinking is with how specific this document is, my guess is if they left it out, it's probably because it won't be affected. That's my guess. You must now page through comments. Yeah, I'm guessing like where you have the scroll. So when you're looking at a creation in the comments page, you could just keep going and you hit a point and it'll just like load more. See how that keeps jumping? So I think now instead of that, it'll be like a separate page for each of these. My guess is the theoretical infinite data structure here. Linked list ID is hard on servers and loading. That makes sense. Sony must have really put the screws on them. Like, dang, they really are cutting every corner here. Activity feeds. You will no longer be able to view what another player has been doing via the other player's activity feed. What they played, liked, left a comment on, took a photo of, etc. What other players have been doing related to a creation. So this is referring to, right there. So all of this is going to go away. You won't have this page to come look at when it's been updated. People giving thumbs up. And the social section on people's profiles is going away. So this right here at the end, this little social section is going. Scoreboards. Scoreboards will only show the top 100 entries. I guess it's kind of nice. It's like even more of a challenge. Like, oh, I want to get in top 100. We are moving friends scoreboards. You will not see PSN friends score comparisons. That's a little sad because then you don't know. It's kind of nice because I can know like who played this, who of my friends played this. Like, oh, these people. It's a much shorter, easier to digest list than everyone. It's probably taxing to cross-check for every person who their friends are, if they've played the game, what their score is, all that stuff. Home spaces are now local only, no visiting others' home spaces. Nobody visited home spaces anyway. I don't think anyone is upset about that, although someone might have wanted it to be more. Actually, in my home space, I have their flagship character, Connie, being repeatedly killed over and over again. Because you'll see the home space actually defines the background of your main page. At least you can still do that because you can still keep it locally. That's not going away. You would have cared if it had more customization. They were very limited. You couldn't do much with them anyway. Well, he's got a full Connie murder machine. It is a murder. Well, if you think about it, it's also a birth machine. It creates and it destroys. Like life. Birth machine sounds like it does C-sections. Oh God. InDreams.me. Linking to creations and players by ID in titles and descriptions will no longer be possible. This is disappointing. I do like doing this a lot because it can help connect creations to each other. You can see in here, stampable barricade, breakable barricade, tutorial, breakable barricade. So what was nice about this is I could make this game that you could play, and then I could link to a tutorial about how to make parts of it. So I just click on this and it jumps you right there. So it's a nice way to advertise and link things. So it looks like you'll still be able to do it outside of Dreams. So if you have a URL for your creation, that should still work, probably, but you won't be able to do it within Dreams anymore. Tools option in the header user account menu will be moved. Okay, so let me show you what this means. When you're logged into InDreams and you click on this menu, you get this tools section. So this will actually tell what I'm doing in Dreams. Apparently I'm poodling in my home space. Is that what I'm doing? That's not what I'm doing. If I open this, oh, now it knows. I'm working on that. Neato. If I get a text box, you can see we've got this text entry thing, and I can actually type this in here. If I hit done, it goes in there. You won't be able to convert something you've already typed elsewhere into Dreams, and you needed it for Pi. Oh, so you couldn't get Pi elsewhere. Wow. The following live tools are being removed. Play now, send to imp, ancient temple game. So here I can play it now. I'm logged in here. So as soon as I click play now, it's going to load that game. And you can even see all this info is telling me what I'm playing, and that's all going to be gone. None of that interconnectivity between InDreams, the website, and Dreams itself. That's going away. A little sad because that was one of the more special features for sure. All this stuff. You also can't send to imp. The more I think about it, the more it's like, well, what would have been nicer is if we just had PC support anyway, and we didn't need these workarounds. So if I'm editing something, and so that just appeared right there. So now I can send it to the imp, and it's just gonna appear right there. That's gone. Photos. Taking photos is now limited to a maximum of 15 photos before saving. Local save space limit allowing. I don't think I've ever taken more than 15 at once. So then you can see we have a whole list here. This will now only be 15 maximum that you can take at a time. You must select where you want to save photos to as part of the flow, online or locally. You already have to do that. I guess you have to do that even more. It's gonna ask me if I want to save it locally and online, or release online, but I guess it's going to be a little different. You must select where you want to save the photos to as part of the flow, online or locally. Uploading photos now deletes the local version. It's just a way to cut down in little ways to save space. Not a huge impact, really. We've removed elements of the filter functionality in photo management and removed the ability to search photos by tag when selecting what photo to add to a cover page. Oh, this filter up here? So now you can't sort and filter. Most thumbs up, most recent. I never use this. I'm not gonna miss it. Trial. We will be removing the Dreams trial from the PlayStation Store. If you are playing Dreams on a trial, you will need to buy the full game to continue accessing Dreams. Okay. VR. Your personalized comfort rating is now visible on content. There are no comfort ratings on maps and collections. Okay. Dreams Live Service FAQ. This is the juicy stuff, I think. Maybe. What does this mean for Media Molecule? Media Molecule will continue to work on bringing joyful, playful, innovative experiences to players around the world. There's your brand tag right there. Media Molecule brings joyful, playful, innovative experiences to players around the world. Why have you decided to end live support for Dreams? We're very proud of Dreams and grateful for the way you, the community, have embraced all it has to offer. Whilst we've always had the desire to build on the foundation of Dreams and expand the experience...
Can I make a battle royale?
Yes. Online multiplayer isn't day one, but it's coming later.
When reviewing our plans, we were not able to define a sustainable path. That's really interesting. I just can't stop but think, how long have they known that? And what made now the time that they announced? But I guess it's nice that they also wanted to see Dreams be something big, not just people in the community, but they did too. And they're acknowledging it. It's interesting what a sustainable path means. We made the decision to change the studio product strategy. Oh, yeah. This is obviously disappointing to many people inside and outside of MM. However, we are incredibly excited for what will come next. They're saying they're going to change the studio product strategy. So they might be evolving their whole deal, as far as we know. They might go back to making regular games. When will live service support end? We will be releasing our last update, discounting critical bug fixes for Dreams in September 2023. So Dreams will still exist beyond September 2023, and if there's a glaring problem, they'll still update it. But after that, September 2023, we won't see new stuff. They're not going to add features, and we're not going to get new Media Molecule games in Dreams. We will still support the ability to play, create, and share Dreams with others after September. This is a really important point. I can't help but think how many people are not clear on this point. Dreams is not announcing today that it's dead. It is letting us know that they're starting to size down and starting to say, please don't really do more. Let's just kind of start ending this. But they're not saying this is the end. They're saying that you will still be able to create, play, and share things after September. And if you have a local version of what's most important to you, as long as the PlayStation console exists, so too should your creations. And if you have even a download or a physical disc and your PlayStation, if those still work, you should be able to still access something that's saved locally. After September, you won't be able to create more than 256 creations at a time. You can always delete stuff, and everything that has already been there will remain. That's what they're saying. So I get if we want to have doom and gloom projections, like I understand that, and I think it's fair to speculate. But that's not what this whole release is. This announcement has nothing to do, technically, literally, with the death of Dreams. It's just the beginning of the end of live support for Dreams. And it's going to be a lot harder to make more stuff than it used to be. Your existing creations will not be affected. That is just utterly clear. What you've done is not worthless. At least you can't judge that based on this document. Will I still be able to access and play Dreams? Will I still be able to create in Dreams? Yes. You will still be able to access and play, create, and share Dreams after the September update. So clear, so straightforward. What happens between now and September? Between now and September, we will be releasing our final updates for Dreams, including an update to animation and create mode, the server migration, and trend. I think I'm really excited about these updates because from what I understand from Molecules, people who work at Media Molecule, there's a lot of features that just haven't been approved yet and that devs have worked on and technically could be shipped, but they just, for whatever reason, got held back. I think we're gonna see a lot of those things coming out. I don't know what those are, but especially with now we can delete creations, we can release public creations with private things in them. I have to think that they're probably gonna do some other things that we've been like, please, can you do this? And it's gonna be really cool. So I'm actually really excited for these updates because it'll probably be cool. Now I know it's like, oh, but Dreams is like starting to die down a little bit. But if you're someone who's an artist, a musician, or you value using these tools to iterate games, then this is good news. This might mean a pretty significant feature dump, and I'm kind of looking forward to it because for me, I'm going to use Streams to make assets for my live streams, for my videos. I'm still going to use it for that. I'm going to use it for making music, and I'm going to use it to help me plan out games I'm working on. And if there's more features to do that, then to me, that's good news. Trend is a game they announced that they're going to release within Dreams, and there was some hype around it, I guess, that they created. That's not as exciting to me as the animation create mode stuff. So that's just me. Will I still be able to buy Dreams after September 2023? Yes, you will still be able to purchase Dreams after September 2023. You can still download it, so it's not like get it now before it's too late, right? You don't have to buy everybody a copy before it's too late. Will events like the Impy Awards or Dreamscom still happen? That's a no. We won't be continuing community events such as All Hallows Dreams, the Impy Awards, or Dreamscom. I think this is a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people because these were ways that the community really stayed engaged and felt connected with the Media Molecule employees. You know, a lot of people probably got their early inspiration and motivation to get involved in these creative careers because of those events. So I'm a little disappointed, but it makes sense. How could they encourage us to create more if they're clearly being mandated, perhaps by Sony, to downsize and to prevent much more growth? So that's what all these events were about growing creations and what the community was doing to participate in Dreams. Will there be any additional bug fixes after September 2023? We may deploy critical bug fix patches after September. Any issues you encounter during your time using and playing Dreams can be reported via our ticketing system, forums, or our social channels, and our teams will investigate where appropriate. I guess if there's a huge game-breaking thing, it'll be nice to know that they'll fix that. Is the studio working on Dreams 2? We're getting into the juiciest here. Media Molecule is working on a new project. We are not ready to talk about this yet. We can confirm that it is not Dreams 2 or the Dreams intellectual property. So whatever comes is not going to be under the Dreams moniker. It's not going to align itself with any of the branding, any of the characters, none of that. It's not going to be a successor. They'll probably use bits of code and lessons they learned and whatnot. And they're working on a new project, which is interesting that they're like, we're working on a new project. I mean, they're a game studio, so I'd be like, yeah, you're working on stuff. You're probably working on a lot of stuff, right? But they're saying we're working on a new project. So it might be a very big one. They made a game Tearaway fairly recently.
Do you think enough people played Tearaway? No. Makes me super sad. Does it really? Yeah. More people need to play it. Go play it. It's still there. Go play it.
You can look at the camera.
Go play it.
And that might be sort of what they're talking about. Just a game. Based on this, I feel like they're trying to get out of that. They're restructuring their studio product strategy. My read of this is that they're kind of pivoting to something a little different. Probably more like games like Tearaway. But that's just my guess. Will InDreams.me still be supported? InDreams.me will still be accessible after September, but we won't be adding any new features. We will still post editorial content on the site, manage the forums, and fix critical issues. I think this is important. A lot of people have search indexes on there. I mean, if I search up my username, we get Twitch, we get Twitter, but look at that, right up there. InDreams.me is right up there. And I think a lot of folks probably have search indexing from InDreams.me. So I think that's a really good thing that that's going to stay up because that's still like a record of the contributions that people have made. And I think that's meaningful. You can point to that, right? If you're applying to game dev studios. I mean, we have people who have gotten jobs with major game studios due to their work on Dreams. And you can still refer to that work using InDreams as proof. Or without InDreams, you'd have to like send people to a PlayStation, maybe record that information, take a screenshot. That's not great. You'll still be able to link to InDreams.me and your creations and the statistics that go along with that. I think that's an important thing that they're keeping that. That would be pretty devastating if that went away. Will I still be able to access my creations after September? Yes, creations will still be accessible in Dreams after September. I'm glad they say that multiple times. I still am seeing people saying like, it's all gone, everything was for nothing. It's not all for nothing. Stop fear-mongering. Is there any way to import or export creations made in Dreams to other software? This has never been a feature that they were going to add.
No. Honest.
Even just for like playing the levels?
No.
Is this your call? Is there any way I can convince you to make that happen?
No.
Can we import audio into Dreams?
Yes.
And I can put music tracks on a thumb drive and export them from Dreams, right?
There's no explicit export to audio, so use the share button.
And then like turn it into a video and then rip the audio from that video.
Yeah.
So you can record things, you can take screenshots, and you can upload that. Artists are still gonna be able to make money using Dreams, period. It's like a pen and paper.
What is Dreams?
What is Dreams is a sketchbook.
It's a useful tool that you can create stuff with. You can even still make games and export videos of them. You can't actually play those games outside of Dreams, but you never could anyway. And for those who feel disappointed, like, oh, now we'll never get to export things, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but you were under a delusion. That was never a feature in Dreams. It was never gonna be a feature in Dreams. And this press release does not confirm that that's never happening. It was never happening. This whole question and answer is not new. The only thing that might have happened was exportation of sculpts for 3D printing. That's true. That was on the Trello for a while. Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. And I think this comes to where Media Molecule is culpable for not keeping us in the loop sooner and letting us sort of not understand what the future would be. But maybe there's a really good reason why they didn't tell us. I wonder how guarded of a corporate secret it is as to why they didn't explain why that wasn't coming sooner or why that wasn't going to happen. I do not envy who had to write this, having to conjure up a statement that's going to absolutely cause chaos. It's not easy. It's a very fine line to walk. Yeah, so I don't want to encourage any negative, expression towards Media Molecule. They don't deserve it, all right? I do think they could have communicated with us more all along the way. But we also don't have all the facts. We don't really know why they weren't communicating. We do know that corporations and companies guard their secrets very carefully. So in that sense, not so surprising. If I delete Dreams, can I reinstall it after September 2023? Yes, you'll still be able to reinstall Dreams after September 2023. The game will still be available. Will you continue with community support / social media posting of Dreams, live streams, etc.? Yes, we will continue to support Dreams on social media. Will multiplayer, the biggest, look how far we go. We've been doing this for so long. And now all the way at the bottom, the biggest news. Right here. Will multiplayer, PS5, PSVR 2, printing support come to Dreams? That's a lot of stuff people have been asking for. No, ain't happening. We've been waiting a long time to hear that multiplayer isn't coming.
Online multiplayer isn't day one, but it's coming later.
It's nice. It's nice to finally know. I think a lot of us already knew, but to hear it is very, very nice. But multiplayer was on the Trello board. While we have done research and development on many areas for Dreams, unfortunately, we're not able to bring these features to the game. This FAQ is obviously cherry-picking the questions, right? A more accurately frequent version of this question would be, when's multiplayer coming? When people ask that, it's based on the statements Media Molecule made themselves, like in this Alex Evans interview that I keep playing, which, by the way, is from 2018. 1 year and 4 months after that interview, then and current creative director for Media Molecule, Mark Healy, was quoted as saying that Dreams would probably be getting multiplayer, but that we should take that with a pinch of salt. This seems like one of the last public statements on multiplayer made by a top employee at Media Molecule. Within 1 month, online multiplayer found its home on the Trello board in the category R&D, or Research and Development. That was about mid-2020, 3 years ago. But that confidence Alex Evans had about multiplayer in 2018 versus the cautious optimism we see from Mark Healy in 2020 makes me think that something big happened at Media Molecule between the two interviews. Something so big that it would change the messaging coming from the studio in regards to multiplayer. I am definitely going to be doing a video about this timeline. There's a lot more to say. So make sure you subscribe to Hyper Game Dev and ring the bell to stay in the loop about when that's coming out. R&D is a process companies undergo when they're considering adding a feature or a product, not when they've decided that they're going to do something. It's kind of company speak for maybe. So this is why I think this part of the FAQ is so notable. Instead of framing multiplayer as something promised to the Dreams community, with this wording, Media Molecule makes it abundantly clear that our questions about online multiplayer should have long been framed with the Trello's research and development category in mind. We've reached the bottom at last. What is the point of server migration and changes if live service is discontinuing? We still want to allow people to create in Dreams in a secure way. So the server work is a technical update to assure the stability of the Dream server. That's an interesting answer. Because again, it goes back to, they announced this server thing a year ago. right? They announced this a year ago. This confirms it pretty much, that back when the first server thing was ever announced, it was all in service to transitioning Dreams to not be a growing platform. I think it's safe to assume that a lot of our creations will be safe for a while. They really seem to be insisting that. And it would be a huge lie and a faux pas if in even the near future, they were to lose all of our creations. I really think it's an overreaction to think that what you've made in Dreams is going to be gone. They don't say, you know, how long it's going to be there. They've been working for a year to have that stuff be protected. I think it's interesting to read it and to think about the themes that keep coming up. Stability of the servers. You'll be able to do stuff after September. They are trying to reduce the amount of creations that are possible in Dreams to be made continually. And it seems like they want to preserve what has been made. And they repeat it. No more live support for Dreams beyond September. Your creations will stay. That's why they did all of this. That was the point, apparently. And the tools will still exist. You will still have the tools after September. The platform itself, the social aspects of it, are being severely restricted, and they don't want you to be making too much more in the future. That's really all that this is saying. But the big question is, how long will this be the case? There's going to be a mass exodus and the player base small. That's true. That's very true. It's an inevitability that it'll all go away. But this gives us no indication, clearly intentionally, because it gives us no way of determining what the future will be beyond sometime after September. We know sometime after September it'll be there, but they're not clear about how long. If Media Molecule has taught us anything, it's that they are not going to answer questions like that. They will stay quiet for as long as possible. The tools will remain there. Even if they shut down every server, the tools will remain. Art, music, video, and even game iteration that you want to do will still be possible. That won't go away. Whether your creations will stay there, that's harder to say. But we know for some time after September, it will be there. I love Dreams. It's a really useful tool, and I'm going to keep using it for a long time, a lot, because I don't really use it for releasing things and like socializing. What I use it for is iterating game ideas.
Will Dreams replace like paper prototyping for other studios?
Actually, in serious mode, that would be cool.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Do you expect other indie developers to like use Dreams to create their PlayStation games in the future?
I would love indie game developers to try out Dreams.
That's what I use it for. And I use it for making assets for live streams and videos that I edit. Even after the servers go down, I'll be able to do all of that stuff. So for me, the worst news is that everybody is going to be really dramatic for a while. And I don't blame them. But personally, what I love Dreams for remains. They couldn't take that away from me unless they kill switched the PlayStation console. Thank you so much, y'all, for hanging out with me today while we went through this. We have a future ahead of us as dreamers. Dreams gave us the confidence to make things that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise known we could do. And I'm so grateful for that. And I love the tools, and it's useful that we know that. And I just hope that you all don't feel like you have to burn it down to the ground and abandon Dreams. There's something valuable in what you've got, and you should still explore it. But that's just my opinion. How about thank you for being such a good friend? Oh, and making these spaces for people to learn, Lise. My pleasure. So yeah, I'll see you guys on Friday for the game jam. You can bring anything. You can bring Godot. You can bring Unity. We'll be able to play whatever you want. Much love. Take good care. Take care of each other. Take care of each other. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.